Hi, my name's Mark. I'm one of the pastors here at Trillium. A couple days back on Sunday, I said a quote from JS Bach, probably one of the great musicians of all time. And it goes like this: It's easy to play any musical instrument. All you have to do is touch the right key at the right time, and the instrument will play itself. When I told this quote in church, I got a good laughter from the congregation. Because I think there's a lot of ex-piano players and guitar players and drum kit players out there in the congregation. And boy, our experience in learning music wasn't that. If anything, that was such a hard thing to do, to play the right note at the right time. That's basically the task of musical performance. Yet Bach, in a way, is right. When you think about it, it really is easy. Just play the right note at the right time and the instrument will play itself. I was a professional musician before I became a minister or pastor, and I have a music degree from U of T, and I studied music avidly for years and years. And let me tell you, the challenge of actually doing what Bach says, it took me more than a decade, and I still really couldn't get it done the way that I wanted to. It seems there's something interfering with us that gets in the way of something that really is easy. It is easy to make music if we didn't have all this ego talk and all this other ego interference in our playing. And I know as a performer, a lot of ego interference really distracted me away from the best possible way, possibility of me being a really great player. I think I could have been a great player if it wasn't for that interference. Because it is easy. And I think most people, their musical ability is exceptional except for that interference. So if we could just somehow get rid of that interference in us, we would be able to really master musical instruments more than it seems is being done today. You know, I think Bach's saying is also true for life, that we could really master life and really have an experience of life, in a sense, playing itself through us if we could simply get right action and right timing in coordination with each other. If we simply did the right thing at the right time, then life would play itself through us. And we would have that experience of grace, of something, feeling something extending through us. And imagine that right timing and right action is always about love. And if love becomes the very means by which we extend God's ways on earth, and it's done through right action and right timing, then we would experience that kind of grace that's alluded to in the scriptures. We'd experience that grace. We would experience that deep, deep peace in our lives. And the fact that we don't tells us that we have a lot of interference to get out of us so that we can have that simplicity at play in us. You know, AA has a famous saying. It goes like this: alcoholics don't have relationships, they take hostages. I remember listening to a comedian play on that famous saying from AA, and he had this nice little riff going on, and the audience was laughing like crazy. And I looked around, and most of the people there were not alcoholics, and yet they found it funny because they identified what this guy was talking about and what that saying is alluding to. That it's, to some extent, all of us are involved in hostage taking in our relationships. By hostage taking, I mean the idea of essentially manipulating people through our wants and desires, by essentially commanding them to do what we want them to do. And trying to assure ourselves of the fact that that other person is committed to making us happy. And I think all of us have been in hostage-taking relationships. I saw a mother at the Cambridge Mall, and her son was having this major meltdown. He's probably about 5 years old, right in the middle of the mall. And the mother's trying to calm him down, and the kid obviously doesn't want to do something. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm watching a hostage-taking right in front of me. And I've had that for my own children, and I've also taken hostages in my behavior in life as well, by piling on the drama in a circumstance, by ratcheting up the pressure, so to speak. You know, hostage-taking is really something that doesn't belong to us. There's a great saying in Course in Miracles, would you be a hostage to the ego or a host to God? I think the reason we take hostages is because we ourselves are hostages to our egos. And it's those very egos that interfere with us having that sense of grace in our lives and making something that should be relatively easy hard. And so I think our spiritual task is, in a sense, to try to get away and remove the interference of our egoic lives, our ego-based lives, from having an impact on our true selves and the way that we are meant to really live in that simple, expression of love. I mean, because that's what it all comes down to. We are meant to extend love. We're meant to be the host of God, which is to be the host of love. God is love. In the first letter of John, it says this. It says, God is love. When we take up permanent residence in a life of love, we live in God and God lives in us. And that's what it means to be a host to God. Love has run of the house, becomes a home and mature in us. It becomes the default way we see life. It becomes the very frame by which we see the world. We're free of worry on Judgment Day. Our standing in the world is identical with Christ. The world of sacrifice, condemnation, and punishment becomes impossible for us. There is no room in love for fear. I think we know that. There is no room in love for fear. Well-formed love banishes fear in all its form. And since fear is crippling, a fearful life, a fear of death, fear of judgment, is one not yet fully formed in love. Boy, that certainly sounds like my life. I think Bach could have talked about music making in terms of love if he had chosen to, that ultimately music's easy when we allow love to manifest itself through us. But when we allow fear or anxiety or ego or trying to make a good impression or being, in some sense, trying to use it for our own advancement or aggrandizement, to expand ourselves and our own thinking and the way the world sees us, when those become the means by which we make music, well then it becomes a very hard thing to do. And that's true for life. When love is the only thing that extends through us into the world, life becomes so easy for us. So I'd invite you today to really embark on that disciplined process of only extending love in all that you do, and how you touch the world around you, how you care for your family and for your neighbor and for the stranger that you meet, that you extend out love, and you will find that there is a blessing that comes to you that goes beyond your understanding. Grace will take a hold of you and life will become so much easier. So go in peace. Go in the easiness of love this day.